Oh yes, please do join me inside the new 2021 Mercedes CLS 53 AMG because obviously that's why you clicked on this video, of course. And while you clicked on this video, go ahead and click a few other buttons for me, like the subscribe button, of course, the like button. You know, there are bells out there, there are whistles out there that need to be rung, that need to be blown. So make sure to do all those extracurricular things that YouTube wants you to do down below. But most importantly, who do we have to thank for this little opportunity for this Mercedes-Benz? Of course, it is Mercedes-Benz of Cary, North Carolina. And I'm going to leave all of Alex Ward's information down in the description box because he is the one who allowed us access to this particular vehicle. So with that established, okay, why am I reviewing the CLS? Because I was in love with the previous generation CLS. That was one of my most favorite cars in general. And Theodore Young, if you're watching, I know you're watching, I know you're a huge fan of the S-Class like I am, let me know in the comment section, would you still choose the S-Class over this? I get it, this is based upon an E-Class, this is just a cooler looking version of the E-Class, I understand that, and the S-Class is a true flagship. But here's the thing, this thing looks incredible, and if you don't have enough money for an S-Class, this is perfect. If you don't want to look plebeian in an E-Class, okay, because this looks stunning, then this is a good thing to opt for, okay, until you can afford an S-Class, because this is a fantastic looking automobile. Pictures don't do this thing justice. I wasn't a huge fan of the rear end of this thing, but then as I saw it in person, it looks pretty stunning. So you guys let me know in the comment section how you like the way that this particular vehicle looks, or would you just get the cheaper E-Class? Up to you really. That's the good thing, you have options here. I mean, seriously, there are a lot of options. I mean, you could get a C63S AMG for this amount of money, and obviously there is no more CLS 63 AMG anymore. The full-on 63 model has been given to the GT63 AMG, so that's your option if you want a V8 twin turbo. Now here's the thing with the AMG GT, it's actually based on the E-Class wagon. It is not like some four-door AMG GT. It's not built from the ground up to be an AMG model or anything like that. That is just based upon an E-Class as well, and this is obviously also based on the E-Class. So that's some of the things. If you're confused between these models, well, there you go. Okay, enough of the looks, enough of the background information. Let's go ahead and let's talk about some of the specs and this driving now, shall we? Okay, this thing, powered by an inline six with a mild hybrid system, of course, the EQ boost and all that good stuff. That's what we're working with here. We got 429 horsepower and about 384 pounds-feet of torque. So another thing I really like with the CLS for this generation as opposed to the E-Class. Okay, the base engine for the E-Class is actually a four-cylinder. The base engine is the 450 basically, or an inline six. That is your basic engine choice that you have here. But this is of course enhanced further because this is an AMG, of course, or AMG variant. Some people don't like to claim that this is a real AMG or whatever. Well, most of those people don't even own an AMG product anyway, so what does it matter to you? Let's go ahead. I'm in the comfort mode right now. Let's go ahead, see what this thing's got. Excellent thrust. I actually like the way this engine sounds. This engine sounds pretty cool. I wasn't expecting it to sound this cool, actually. I have actually driven an E-Class, okay, an E450, and it's a smooth engine, but it doesn't sound like this, obviously. Now, is this as nutty as the 63 models? Of course not, but this is smooth, but this has some nice character to it. It has a nice little rumble to it, and I really appreciate that. If I take this out on the highway here in a little bit, I guess we can kind of switch it over into the Sport Plus. We got a little button for the exhaust as well. That actually comes on because this has the optional exhaust package on it. Brakes are nice. But when you put in the Sport Plus, the exhaust light just automatically comes on. Give these people some space here, and kind of a floor, kind of get on the paddles here too. Becomes way louder. Automatically upshifts for me, of course. This thing sounds really good. I don't know, it could be fake, but dude, I don't care, man. This thing sounds awesome. Very quiet too. Really like how smooth and quiet this vehicle is. This car is actually one of the few Benz products that I noticed that has a double pane glass on it. exceptionally well. Really nice, super stable at speeds. Absolutely loving that. Yeah, this thing weighs about 4,400 pounds. A lot of people like to complain about the weight of these vehicles. Here's the reason why this is heavy. This is a steel unibody platform, okay, body essentially. It's because this vehicle needs to save your life at the end of the day. And a steel unibody platform or a body can do that for you. As opposed to some of these aluminum vehicles and all that stuff, there's not a lot of aluminum being used with this vehicle. But see, you throw this in the corner, it still handles extremely well. Very nice. It just leans a little bit. I mean, you got to expect that, of course, but the suspension, all that stuff, it does a great job in giving this vehicle some good balance to it. Another reason why it has good balance, the reason why it handles its curb weight so well, the chassis along with the air suspension. So the suspension, when you put it into the Sport Plus, it actually gets a lot more stiff. And I'm about to take this over some, kind of rough bumps and all that stuff here to kind of test that suspension out in the Sport Plus. But hopefully it does ride pretty well because it is air suspension after all, and it is a Mercedes-Benz. But I'm liking the steering, and out on the highway with those speeds, I mean, dude, this thing is just really rock solid, pinned down. That's the quality, man. That's kind of why I like my LC500 Lexus, because it's very heavy and it feels nice and pinned down. But this is so quiet at those highway speeds. Sounds amazing with the optional exhaust. If you're looking to purchase this car, do it with the optional exhaust for sure. That's mandatory. Really wakes up this vehicle. But even over some of these terrible bumps, it's actually doing a pretty good job absorbing them. With the heavy curb weight, it usually will. But let's go ahead, let's put it into the comfort mode, see if it actually softens up here. Most of the time, these things don't really make a huge difference, but I think with this Benz, it actually will, especially with the AMG products. The adaptive suspension, all that does make a difference. But this, it's slight. It's a very minute change. You feel like some of the bumps kind of coming through a little bit, but it's not too much. It's very comfortable for the most part. This is a little bit firmer than what a vehicle like this probably should be. I've heard the E-Class is actually a little bit softer, but for the most part, it's still comfortable. Don't get me wrong. It reminds me a lot of my LC500, actually. It's a good amount of stiffness for what this vehicle is trying to be, like a more sportier kind of vehicle, so I like that. But the steering weight is just so precise and perfect. That's what I really like with these vehicles. It's got the perfect weight to it. It's not like the BMW steering wheels where you need 5 arms to freaking move the thing. This is actually like the perfect amount of weight and just gives it a nice luxurious feel. This is a nice product. I really like this 53 because another thing, I really like the 43 lineup that they had previously. They still have it with a few cars like the C43 and now with the AMG GT43, but that's a lot of money. I thought that was the perfect amount of performance for everyday driving, and this 53 model is also proving to be that as well. I've always liked this 9-speed automatic. I've noticed in a few vehicles like the GLE 350, it can be a little bit jerky at times, but for like 99% of the times, this transmission is very good at handling your inputs for both being aggressive and for being smooth. So it's got that nice dual nature personality to it. And I like the paddle shifters. They have this nice heavy kind of metal feel to the paddle shifters when you pull on them, so I like that. Alcantara on the steering wheel, that's not going to age very well. You might want to drive this thing with some gloves on, but when it's brand new, it feels fantastic in your hands. I really like it. But other things to note, it's got a 4.7-inch ground clearance on it, so it's actually not super low slung, but it is a little bit. I would definitely choose this over the AMG GT 43 and 53. I haven't driven them, but dude, those cars are very expensive. They might be worth the premium, but I don't know, dude. They're all kind of based on the E-Class. The GT AMG is the stiffest, most performance-oriented version of the E-Class chassis, if you will, but it's just a lot of money. Only reason why I would primarily step up to a GT is to get the 63 model. That's about $170,000, so something to keep in mind. But you're going to kind of leave it in the comfort mode and then press the exhaust button. That's a nice little option there. It's worth it. See here, kind of bust this turn. Very kind of nimble feeling. It sounds monstrous, man. Oh my God. Excellent, man. And the brakes do a great job man, this thing has a very good chassis and suspension setup, because when you accelerate and when you brake, you don't feel the transactions taking place, basically. Like, it always feels nice and stable at all times. It's a quality driving experience. I really like it. Only things I didn't really like driving this vehicle is actually a slight bit of harshness over really terrible bumps. 95% of the time it actually rides really good. Comfort mode, Sport Plus mode didn't really make a huge difference, so it's one of the things I noticed. Because this chassis is so good, you don't really feel the sensation of speed. It's just like that nice burble in the exhaust that kind of helps you, let you know how fast you're going, essentially. So that's one of the things I noticed. That heavy curb weight, that gives it a nice substantial quality out on the road. All this is kind of reminding me of the LC500. Sorry, that's the only vehicle that keeps coming into my mind, but both Lexus and Mercedes kind of get it with this. That's what gives it like a nice quality feel out on the road. That kind of makes it very enjoyable even out on regular speeds. Okay, you don't have to be doing 100 miles an hour in this thing to make it feel good. Okay, you can just do 35, 45 miles per hour and it still feels amazing. So that's nice. Let's talk about one other refinement thing I really appreciate. Okay, this vehicle has the auto stop start. For once, I actually did not turn it off in this vehicle because it is so smooth. It is so silky. I absolutely love it. Everything about this is very silky in the way it responds. Just taking over some of these bumps here. It's actually responding pretty well, especially in comfort mode. But anyway, yeah, everything's very smooth from the auto stop start. I think a lot of that has to do with the EQ boost or the mild hybrid system that this thing has. This vehicle gets about 21 city, 26 on the highway. That's great. But here's the thing, there's a few other intelligent things that this vehicle does. Okay, you can kind of sail in it. So this mild hybrid will actually kind of, shut off the engine, I believe, if you're on like the highway or something like that. So you kind of coast along without using any fuel. So it does some pretty intelligent things like that to help save fuel. But also I believe this air suspension, I know on the GLEs that have the air suspension, it's actually kind of operated through the 48 volt hybrid system. So I believe this is also electronically controlled in a similar fashion. So that's one of the other things I noticed. But yes, this vehicle with the kind of multi-link suspension in all four corners feels like a nice, substantial, quality vehicle. I said this multiple times, but it's true. It makes it feel special even at regular speeds. It's a similar thing that my LC500 does. The same reason why I like that vehicle, a lot of those things kind of translate here. And I almost kind of ride similar too, kind of has like that firmness to it that makes it feel kind of edgy, but still comfortable at the same time in a weird way. It's kind of difficult to explain that, but I will admit I would like this vehicle, because it's a Benz, to feel a little bit softer than what it does. Just something I noticed. But other than that, this thing is dead silent. This is one of the few Mercedes-Benz products I've noticed that actually has a true double pane glass setup. The other vehicles had a thick piece of glass, but this one actually has like the true double pane glass. So I like that it's very silent even at high speeds. And this thing is riding on 20-inch wheels. Okay, I believe 19s are optional. I would get the 19s if I was supposed to spec this vehicle out. I did spec this vehicle out. It was about $93,000. I opted for a few extra options. I get bougie with Benz. There's a few options I really like. This one is spec'd out to be about $97,000, I believe. And let's talk about that interior now. So this interior space, okay, this is another big reason. Aside from the steel unibody construction and the safety of this vehicle, the other big reason why you're looking at this Benz is because of this interior space. If nothing else, this interior, for me, seals the deal compared to other vehicles in the class, okay? For some, this might be too much, but to me, if you're paying this type of money, this interior is absolutely necessary. It is stunning to behold, to look at, to interact with. It's just amazing, man. This is, I'm sorry, but this is, aside from Lexus, this is the next best interior for me. The vent work, of course, this kind of carbon fiber. I will say, if you kind of touch up against some of this carbon fiber paneling, it will creak a little bit. The rest of it is very solid, but that's the one thing I noticed. But other than that, don't touch it. You better not touch it. But I'm just saying, that's the only thing I noticed. Other than that, you got the optional 10.25-inch screens here. I think it's 12.3 in this one. But anyway, you get the updated MBUX, Mercedes-Benz interactive system, basically, for 2021. That's what you get. It's one of the new things you got for this generation, basically, this model year. It's the exact same thing as I have described in my other Mercedes-Benz videos I've done. So please do check them out. And one annoying thing is, anytime you say Mercedes-Benz, the
how can I help?
That thing always turns on. Their freaking, what do you call it? Their AI basically just turns on. So you can't say the name of this car company in this vehicle. It's kind of annoying, but anyway. Yeah, heated and cooled seats, that's an option. I would highly suggest you taking that option. You got the memory seats, you got the Burmester audio system. Again, it's like $4,000 or $5,000. It's like $4,500. This is worth it. It's so loud, it's crispy, it's got great bass. I really, really love this freaking audio system. It just sounds so good, man. It's something I would have to take. It's very expensive, but you got to do it. That's what I'm saying. That's why I got bougie with the options when I was speccing mine out. It's a lot of money, but you got to have it when you get this type of vehicle. You know, I'm just saying. You got great metallic buttons for the window switches, and they're all one-touch up and down windows, basically. So I like that as well. But it feels premium. It feels like $250,000 in here. Like Lexus, like the LC and the LS, and like these Mercedes interiors, they go beyond like their class, basically. Like this is in the realm of Rolls's and Bentleys and things like that, in my opinion, especially the way it's designed. So that I really like. I like the way that this steering wheel is set up. I believe this is like the new steering wheel where you have this toggle switch and you have like this digital display inside of it to kind of go between the modes. I like that. That's a crispy option right there. And you got the traction control off and the AMG dynamics and all this stuff. There's a lot to learn with this infotainment. It's actually relatively easy, especially when you just look at it, but there's a lot of like menus and you got to know where the features and functions are. So learn that, but the good thing is you can kind of just use like these buttons on the steering wheel. It's like a touch haptic thing. Use that and it gets maneuvering around this infotainment a lot easier. So I really enjoy that. You got a performance AMG page and like a track page because, you know, the Starbucks drive-through is clearly a track, right? Don't get me wrong. I know you're not going to use any of the performance of this vehicle ever. But here's the thing, this car just sounds really nice. So getting the optional exhaust is very important. These seats are unbelievably comfortable and they're a good, nice, bolstered up feel. I believe you can get, I think this is optional, but I think you can actually get the similar like active bolsters that you get in the S-Class. I believe you can get that here, or maybe it's an option in here that you can turn on, I believe. But either way, I do believe that you can get that in this vehicle. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you can get that, but it's amazing. But even without it, this is a great seat, man. It just, you feel like money sitting in this thing. That's what I'm saying. You can't get the E-Class. If you can't afford an S-Class, get the CLS because it's just way cooler, man. The interior quality is far superior to a C-Class. Me personally, I think I would have to go for the CLS 53 over like the C-Class stuff, simply because it's just so much of a nicer interior and experience, and it's so quiet. It's got the luxury car attributes. It's got enough sportiness for me. So I like this a lot, man. But it's hard though. You let me know in the comment section which you would stem for. Here's mainly what they can work on. I wish instead of this piano black plastic slab that they have here, it's very solid, but I wish they would give you like this kind of plastic aluminum type finish, or if you can actually make it legit aluminum, that would be nice, because this will attract a lot of fingerprints and a lot of dust, this piano black plastic, and it's like a lot of it. That's why I don't like it. But other than that, this is the most special interior space that you will ever experience for the money. And this steering wheel, this AMG steering wheel, is a thing to behold as well. You know, I'm pretty high on this vehicle, especially this interior space. This is, to me, what seals the deal compared to Audis and BMWs. Although I will say the Audi and BMW interiors are more simple, a little bit cleaner, and it'll probably age a little bit better than these Mercedes interiors because there's a lot going on here. This is the classic lease vehicle. I would only buy these cars on a lease, so keep that in mind. If you can afford the lease payments on a vehicle like this is definitely how you want to own something like this. I would not own this for the long term. This is definitely a lease vehicle. Let's talk about those rear seats. Now, here's the thing with the rear seats, and another reason why this thing is money, because you are essentially paying more money than an E-Class for less practicality. You pull up in this, you're the big man. You got money to blow on a less practical vehicle. That's cool. But speaking of practicality, I can still fit back there. But here's the thing, I'm 5'11" and I sit closer to the steering wheel than most people of my size would. So I can naturally give myself more space back there. But other than that, if you have the seat back more, it can be tight. So that's one of the things I've noticed. And obviously it's a little bit sloped. It's like a slanted rear window basically. So it's another thing I had to keep in mind. Headroom, you know, it's compromised back there, but it's not terrible, not as bad as people might make it out to be. But the seats are very comfortable, and I like the fact that this red interior isn't like super bright. It's like a cranberry red, so it's a little bit muted, so it's a nice touch. But here's a huge thing, like this is where this car makes up for a lot, okay, in terms of practicality. you can fold down the rear seats in this thing. That is fantastic. You can't do that with a lot of rear-wheel drive chassis vehicles, so that's great. And the trunk isn't massive, but it's a good size. You can definitely fit a lot. Like I mentioned, because you can fold down the rear seats, it makes it far more practical, so that is awesome. And you can lift up the little trunk space thing, and you have a little bit more storage space underneath as well. But practicality is fantastic. When you get the CLS 53, you also get the 4MATIC, which I forgot to mention, but that means putting down the power is great. It does 0 to 60 in like 4.4 seconds, and there's just no drama. You can put winter tires on here and just rock it all 4 seasons basically. So that's great. And you got plenty of safety features, of course. More safety features are optional if you want to get them. If you don't know how to drive, they're available to you, but crashing this is damn near impossible. But if you do, you're safe. But yeah, I'll mention this one more time. The only cons I noticed: slightly rough ride over the worst of bumps, and also this piano black plastic has got to go. And third, this is a lease only vehicle. You don't want to keep this for the long term. So understand what you're getting into. But to me, this car is worth it because it's hitting above its weight class. It feels of quality, more so than what the price tag would suggest. Even though the price is very high, I do understand that. But hopefully you found this video to be of value to you. I'm going to leave all of Mercedes-Benz Cary's information down in the description box below. Contact Alex if you're interested in leasing a car or whatever. I don't get anything out of it, of course. But also leave your thoughts down below. If you have any experience with these vehicles, please do let me know. And with that, take care and goodbye.